Welcome back to another episode. Today's topic is centered on validation, but we need to talk more about self-validation because many of us have been programmed into seeking external validation. The validation of ourselves isn't qualities that we expect people to look at and clap for us. We're not validating qualities that we need to seek in order to gain approval or receive approval. When I speak on validation, especially because this space, this YouTube channel is focused on our truth, I myself never even knew that I could self-validate because my life was focused and centered around getting approval, pleasing other people, and having them validate me. I didn't even think I was seeking validation. I just realized that I only validated myself when it seemed other people seemed to validate a particular aspect of myself. And before we even go into talking about parts of oneself, I think a lot of people need to understand your true self, how you exist. And I honestly wanted to do a class to talk about authenticity and who we are, especially down to our soul essence. When we talk about authenticity and when we talk about who we talk about what we are made of. And when I even got into this understanding or this awareness, it really, really shocked me because oftentimes what I see that we validate as our identity are often roles or skill sets or job titles or titles in society or I am. And again, if you are not aware, I am is what determines being. To be is the English language construct of identity. To be, I am. Right. And so people use I am, an identity word or phrase, to depict different things like their emotions, feelings. I am angry or I am sad. And then you tie your identity to that emotion, or you tie your identity to a title. I am a mother, I am a teacher, but that is not who you are, because here we talk about deep soul truths, right? And when it comes to validating ourselves, we're talking about validating those deep soul qualities, our essence. And the surprise that I figured out when I was on my journey was, of course, we are not all these titles, all these emotions that we tie our identity to or our state of being to. There are so many different values and qualities that souls possess. And we see it every day. These values include truth. This value includes acceptance or compassion. This value includes love, wisdom. And I know this might be confusing because you're like, what do you mean that I am truth? Because if you're a Christian, you understand that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, and all the things. But if you actually come to understand what Jesus said, and this is something I'm just entering into right now because I briefly thought about it when I was on this journey of uncovering what the soul's truth really is, or the soul's essence is. And mind you, we're still going to dive into validation. But when we're talking about Jesus in this context, when he says, I am the way, the truth, and the life, you would realize his soul's quality. And frankly, when you see him being authentically himself as he journeyed on this earth, as he expressed his soul quality, he was truth because he brought about truth. He could not live surrounded by illusions, especially with the Pharisees, when he will go and say, the Sabbath day, yes, they said don't work on the Sabbath day, but you can go and get something to eat. Like, it wasn't strict. He came in and dismantled illusions. My father used to say, and so I'm kind of using that as an example, but he came to bring the truth about consciousness. He came to bring the truth about who we are as beings. And so when he was expressing his soul quality, when he went out and found himself, especially in those days when he was disappearing and sitting with the Pharisees and reading all these different manuals, religious scripts, and seeking the Torah, he was seeking truth because that was part of his soul's core quality. And that is similar to people who seek truth as well. Like, I am here talking about your soul's truth, finding yourself, the truth of who you are. I do not value illusion. So what does that tell you about me, about part of my soul's core quality or essence? And a lot of times, a lot of people express their true soul essence, but don't even realize that that is what they are made of, because we have been programmed and conditioned to believe that who we are tied to all these external man-made titles and roles and systems, right? Or cultural systems. When I talk about cultural systems, I want to explain that when we say self, when I Googled and went into the understanding of the construct of the self and the soul are quite different, but they wouldn't tell you that. When they say, oh, I'm validating myself, what the self means in this case is a group of qualities that are used to identify you in this physical realm. That is what the self is, while the soul is what you identify in the energetic space, values in the energetic space. Now, in this physical realm, we have qualities like your color, which is your brown skin or pale skin, your cultural background or your tribe. Things like this are called values in the physical realm, which is what we then associate with the self in terms of our world. So when you're saying, who am I? And you're trying to find yourself, you're trying to find your background, you're trying to find your value. All these, your educational values or your gender is a value. So you're saying, oh, I'm female. That is part of the self. Yeah, I don't really like the word I am, because I really do think it should belong with the soul essence, but this is what I'm just trying to explain to you, right? The self and the soul are quite different. And so when you are identifying with a particular value, then you should be aware of whether it's the value in terms of this physical world or when you're identifying with the soul. Let's just go back to validation a bit here, which ties us back to soul essence and soul qualities. So when we are here trying to validate our soul qualities, or our soul essence. I don't know if anyone has ever told you, oh my God, you're so calm. You know, when I'm around you, I feel so calm. It means you have the value of calmness or a value of safety in your soul's essence. If somebody says, oh my God, you really see the beauty in everything, naturally you just express or you just adore beauty. It means that you are beauty. And you can also find your soul essence when you see in others something that you value. It's a reflection of your value or what exists within you as a value. So if you seek to value someone's compassion, it means that you are compassion. There, you are compassion. When you value softness of another person, it signifies to you that you are softness. We could go about this every day. If you value the way someone is truthful or someone expresses truth or someone seeks truth, it means you are truth. It means you are seeking to value the truth that is you, that is part of your core essence. I know this is a bit confusing or like you're going to have certain elements of doubt to it. I know that I do, because it's like, especially when it comes to truth as a value, I have to go, but when we come, I will finish up validating these qualities. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next one. And remember, subscribe, turn on your post notification bell so that you don't miss an upload. Keep reflecting on what today's message stirred within you. I'll see you in the next one. You're limitless.